There's
Hey, Mario.
been some confusion in Broncos country about what a joker is.
Oh,
So Pat here is going to explain to everybody what exactly the joker entails.
first of all, let me ask you something, Mario. Do you want to know how I got these scars?
Yeah.
You see, my father was a play caller and a fiend, allegedly. One night, he came home from practice crazier than usual. He took his wrist coach to my cheeks, laughing as he did it. He said, "Why not duo?" He looks over at my mother and he says, "Why not duo?" And then, why not duo?
It's altitude adjustment.
Hey, Bill, I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that's a stick up.
That was a terrible cold open.
No, I thought that was fantastic because I think that cleared everything up. Now everybody knows.
Now everybody knows what a joker is. Now we know where it came from.
The people seem to like it. Bree says, "LOL, what?" Carter says, "The fuck did I just watch?" It's probably safe to assume that Carter wasn't born when that movie came out, right?
In 2008.
Is there a chance? Is there a chance that Carter has not even seen that movie? That he's not even been able to experience the Heath Ledger Joker?
I'll tell you right now,
calling him the greatest Joker of all time.
He definitely did not get to experience.
Carter was 3.
He did not get to experience what it was like that summer going to see that movie in theaters. I think I went to see it 8 to 10 times, somewhere around that. It was crazy, and now it's about to come back out on IMAX.
It's unbelievable. We got to go see it 8, 9, 10 more times. Speaking of the Joker position, we're just going to get right into it. So, Pat, some people are saying that the Broncos aren't going to use Evan Ingram as a Joker. Some people are saying it. Okay, we're not going to name names, but they exist and they're out there. Despite the fact that Evan Ingram posted a literal GIF of the Joker from the very movie that you just quoted. So, Pat, you weren't here last week. I want you to this is your triumphant return to altitude adjustment. You and I haven't really gotten a chance to talk about the free agent. And I know that I'm bricked up. I know you're bricked up, but walk me through it. And most of all, Pat, I want you to make sure that you take a lot of time with Trent Sherfield. Because some people are not satisfied with the Trent Sherfield signing. Okay, because they feel like they wanted Cooper Kupp and they got Trent Sherfield. So I'll let you run us through all the free agents. How did we do? What do we need to see from them? Grades, however you want to answer it. Take us through it.
Well, let's start first with the Evan Ingram signing, right? You said you weren't going to name names. I'll name some names. Robbie said it on Full Field Read, right? He said, I don't think that Evan Ingram necessarily fits the true meaning of what that Joker position entails. And it's not like he won't play that role sometimes, but is he the prototypical Joker type of guy? If you think about how it's been described, not really. Are they going to put Evan Ingram in the backfield and let him make plays out of the backfield? Probably not. His best usage is being that mismatch guy that you can put up. You can put him in the slot. You can put him in tight alignments. You can put him out wide and play. Like we talked about this today. Just kind of putting those pieces at different spots. And this is something that offensive coordinators and offensive minds will do when they understand that they have a mismatch. The Patriots were one of the best teams at doing this with Rob Gronkowski. They would put him out wide, and linebacker would follow him or safety would follow him. And it's just a mismatch nightmare, right?
It's a good thing that Gronk is coming out of retirement to play for the Broncos, Pat.
Allegedly.
Thank God that we'll have that X factor that the Patriots had all those years.
But as far as Ingram goes, like, is he the true Joker, or is this, is this like Barry Keoghan playing the Joker, and then actually somebody else is going to play this guy? I think it could be true. I think he'll certainly be used as the Joker sometimes. But if I think of like a true Joker that Sean Payton would look at, we're thinking, and Robbie said Alvin Kamara. I think Alvin Kamara is that's like the prototypical type of guy. Reggie Bush has been one of those names in the past. Taysom Hill was obviously very much so in that role because of how they could use him as a quarterback, a fullback, a tight end, a wide receiver, a running back. That is like the true meaning of having a Joker, a person that can do every single thing. Is Evan Ingram going to take snaps out of the backfield and run like QB power out of the flex bone? I don't think so. I think that, victory lap. That's a great point. There's two Jokers in the deck, right? So while Evan Ingram might play that role in some cases, depending on what the mismatch is, there's another player who's probably Mims is definitely someone who I would consider someone that you could put in the Joker role. Travion Henderson from Ohio State is someone who's been named. Obviously, Tyler Warren would fit that role perfectly because he was
They're willing to go up to 11 or 12 to get it.
Yeah. Right. Maybe even 9 if that's the case, right? I have an article coming out. I don't. How many words is this? I think I'm sitting at like 6,000. I've massive.
Too many words. This is like the 7th Harry Potter book, Pat. You need to chill.
I'm literally just putting my thoughts out, and this is. I'm calling this piece that I'm putting out on Let's Talk Broncos the situation room, because I'm going to take you through each of these scenarios and like using my coach brain, my weird brain, and how that works. Kind of just explain what the thought process would be for those. So like Travion Henderson, someone that they could easily target in the draft. If they did want to trade up for Ashton Jainty or Hampton, hey, like you got to do what you got to do. But if Sean Payton is actually going to go after the Joker, I don't think that Evan Ingram is the guy. Now he's going to be very valuable. And I said this in the chat today too. I'm kind of counting Evan Ingram not in the tight end. I'm counting him just as another receiver. Okay. Because of all the usage that he's gotten, it's not really an inline guy. Like he'll play inline sometimes, but it's not pretty.
Ideally, he's not in line.
No. So I'm kind of putting
like Pat. I would rather him chip, but like you're not leaving him out there to block. You want him to be. He's a physical slot receiver.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see where they use him. And I posted some personnel groupings on Twitter back when the Cooper Kupp thing was maybe still a real thing. But like you can put out a grouping of Troutman. You could disguise it as like 12 personnel, but really it would kind of be more 11 personnel. But Troutman, Ingram, whoever the running back is, and then Sutton and Kupp was the other wide receiver that I put at the Z, right? But then you could just take Troutman out, use Evan Ingram as the Y, and put in a guy like Mims or Vele or Franklin, whoever, right?
Can Vele play the outside?
Yeah, Vele can play outside. Vele can absolutely play outside. I think that's going to be the next progression of Devon Vele, is kind of turning him into Michael Thomas light, right? Because Thomas surprisingly 6'4", like 220-ish, doesn't look like that.
People forget how big Michael Thomas was,
and he doesn't look like that, right? He looks sleeker, more lean, but he was a pretty built dude. And Vele is kind of a similar build. Like he's going to pack on a little bit more size here as the years go on. He's going to be on like AARP by his third season, so it's fine. But I think that's kind of the trajectory. Is he's going to play more X this season, I think, than maybe people realize. I don't think that he'll be a replacement for Cortland, but yes, I think he can play outside. Let's keep going with the free agents. I don't want to spend all the time talking about the receiver. Greenlaw. Love the Greenlaw signing, especially the way that the contract's built. Oh, perfect.
Chef's kiss.
That's just
perfect.
Fantastic. And the fact that San Francisco was trying so hard. So I see A.T. Perry being mentioned. I need to see what he can bring in camp. I want to see what he brings in camp. I think that he could be a legit guy. I
don't understand this weird fascination with A.T. Perry.
He's big. He's fast. He's a good contested catch guy. He can block. Like,
how did he do last year?
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. I want to see more. I want to see more because he's still younger than Bailey.
I don't mean to shit on A.T. Perry, okay? I think like my deal is like all season we heard about Bronco fans. Oh, wait for A.T. Perry to come. Wait for A.T. Perry to come. If he was really going to be that big of a difference maker, and granted, I think the big reason he wasn't involved is because this is it's a very, 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 very complicated scheme for a dude that was not familiar with it. But there were fans that were acting like A.T. Perry was going to be some sort of savior, like some sort of dude that was going to come in here and could potentially have like a 70, 80 catch season, and he's not that guy.
So shiny object.
I'm never going to say that he's the second best X on the team because that's insane to me. Like I need to see him have Can he get one offensive snap? Can we give him like one offensive snap during the regular season before we anoint A.T. Perry to be anything?
Vele earned his spot. Like he definitely did. He was making crazy catches. You could play him at the F, you could play him at the Z, you could play him at the X. Fuck, you could play him at the Y if you want to out of empty. But I think that he's just going to be a do-it-all kind of guy. Like, what did they say his comp was? Sean said that he reminded him a lot of Marquise Colston. And I was like, shit, that's kind of perfect. Like, that's a dude that can, you can play him, you can play him in tight splits and run split zone out of it, like they were doing with Lil Jordan Humphrey this last season. Helps in the play action game. But he's a tough dude. He's gritty. He's going to do all the dirty work. And that's just the kind of receiver that you want, right?
I like how you tried to get started on Greenlaw and you got pulled
I know. Just pull me back.
They reeled you back in with the bullshit A.T. Perry talk.
I'll say this. One of the things, and Ben kind of said this on Broncos Country tonight, and I know some other people have said this, but like what they're missing on this defense, especially last year, was a true like an alpha male dog, right? And this is no offense to any of the guys, Benito and Cooper, but like when you have personalities like that, and I'm going to say this, my Broncos comp for Dre Greenlaw. It's not a 1-to-1, but like this is my Broncos comp for him is Al Wilson. Al Wilson was an alpha
100%.
dog on that defense. Yeah. He was the leader of that defense. He helped bring along guys like DJ Williams. It helped with a young Elvis Dumerville. He was around the team. He really inspired a lot of guys on that defense, and I feel like Greenlaw will be
changes
that
the tone
kind
of that defense.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Changes the tone of that defense. He gives that defense more of an identity, right?
Yeah.
Because honestly, Pat,
different players.
The identity of that defense is it's Patrick Surtain, and then everybody else kind of get in where they fit in. Despite the fact that Cooper and Benito had fantastic years. And Zach Allen, like it's Pat Surtain's defense, but Pat is a lot like Vaughn in the sense that like he's a lead by example guy. Pat will fire you up, and Pat will get in your face, but he's not like that Dre Greenlaw version of a captain. Pat is like I'm the best player on the planet. Like watch me and feed off of me. That's his leadership style. Whereas Greenlaw will grab you by the face mask and shake you.
There's leaders, okay, and those are the guys that you expect to hold everything together out on the field, right? Something goes wrong, something bad happens, somebody makes a mistake. The leaders are the type of guys to bring everything back into focus, right? Perfect example, you said Pat Surtain.
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect example is against the Colts, right? He's telling them, like, hey, stay focused, watch for the fake. What happens? Big play happens. Okay. So the leaders, that's great. But what you need on defense is just a fucking dog. You like a foaming at the mouth, just like barely trying to get out of the chain link leash.
Like that motherfucker got rabies coming at you.
Like, does that thing bite? No, he don't bite. And then it's like, like, yes, that motherfucker bites. Okay, that's Greenlaw. That's Hufanga. My only stipulation, the only thing that is holding me back from giving this like the ultimate grade is I want to see them in action. I want to see them make it through. Give me half a fucking season. Give me half a season. Like if Hufanga can stay healthy, if Greenlaw can stay healthy, which he came back for 2 games last season, played fine, like a little slow, that's to be expected, whatever, right? If they come back and they're healthy and they're ready to go, I'm fucking like A+ signings because the deals are set up great. They can easily get out of it. Hufanga got a little more guaranteed. He's a younger player though, right? But 17
and if he can regain his form from a couple years ago, Pat, do people understand what an absolute bargain that is? And like not to be overstated, remember what we thought of Brandon Jones last year? It was a meh signing, right? At the time, we were like, okay, it's a necessity. He's not Justin Simmons, and he was asked to do very different things, so you can't compare the two.
Yeah.
But it's like, hot damn, Brandon Jones kind of came out of nowhere and had a fantastic season.
Yeah.
And Hufanga, when he was healthy, quite frankly, was a much better center than Brandon Jones. And that's not an indictment on Brandon Jones. That's praise of Hufanga. That's how good Hufanga is. He was an all-pro, I think, his second year?
Second season in the league. So, Corvallis native.
If you can regain 85 to 90% of that production with his contract, that's an absolute steal in this market. So I'm with you. Like, I liked everything that they did, but most importantly, Pat, the unsung hero that I'm really going to want to focus on, like, we're done with the fucking A.T. Perry talk. The only receiver on the team we're going to talk about now is Trent Sherfield. Okay, the fans were boo-hooing. Okay, because Pat, literally on sports talk out here on multiple different stations, there were on-air talents who admitted to having to Google Trent Sherfield. Now I know he's not a household name. I know that there's not a lot of kids with number 10 Trent Sherfield jerseys running around from one of the 4 teams that he's been on. But Pat, as football purists like myself and yourself, you and I were hyped over the Trent Sherfield signing. Why, Pat? Because you take a guy like Tremon Smith, who we've talked about at length on this show, of being a really good special teamer, and you replace him with somebody who is arguably a better version of Tremon Smith in Trent Sherfield. He's not the flashy guy, Pat. He's not going to be a fan favorite. But you know what he is? He's a dog. He is a special teams dog.
234 snaps.
What they needed.
234 special team snaps last year, second highest total in his career. I'm really excited about this signing. Also, it's a smart signing by the organization, because I know there's a lot of people out here who listen and watch this show who don't love our Hall of Famer, Lil Jordan Humphrey. They hate it. Mario, they hate this.
I knew you were going to find a way. I knew you were going to find a way to bring up your Lord and Savior, Little Jordan Humphrey.
You know what I feel like?
That's his government name.
Do you know what I feel like defending Little Jordan Humphrey? If you haven't watched it, find the episode of I Think You Should Leave, where it's the driving crooner. That's how I feel defending Lil Jordan Humphrey. People fucking hate this. They want to kill me over this. Okay, I can't tell you why, but they hate this. Like, if we could just put Lil Jordan Humphrey right here, I'm like, people fucking hate this, Mario. I think yes. Frankie has the vision. Frankie has the vision.
And let me tell you, Frankie, more than anything, the reason that I'm here for this is because Broncos country would have a fucking conniption fit.
Why are you using two roster spots on the same guy?
They saw 21 personnel that they ran out Lil Jordan Humphrey and Trent Sherfield. 99.9% of Broncos country be like, what the fuck are we doing? It's 3rd and 4. Why is Trent Sherfield on the field?
And meanwhile, I'm in
just for the collective crash out, Frankie. I'm here for that.
Meanwhile, I'm in the stands with my run the damn ball hat. I think that for those who hate Lil Jordan Humphrey, I think that Trent Sherfield was a signing that could essentially fill two roles, and I think that's the idea. Do I think Lil Jordan is going to be gone? No, I think he'll be back. He'll be there for camp.
Probably he's not going anywhere, Pat. As long as Sean Payton's around,
squad guy, like it'll be fine. He'll be back.
As long as there's breath in Sean Payton's lungs, Lil Jordan Humphrey will have a job and have a job. Frankie, okay, enough, Frankie. Like, we cut this shit out.
God.
Okay.
Oh my God!
If I see three of those motherfuckers on the field at the same time, I will run naked through the streets and throw myself into traffic.
That's how you know.
I'm fed up.
I think my light's fucked. I think the Sherfield signing was a good one. It's not a bad deal as well. They get a key special teamer. Kind of opens up another area for them to bring in another defensive back. Not that Tremont Smith played a ton of defense, but it gives them the opportunity to go in and look at adding another corner to the room, or safety, whatever, right? But more so offensively, Trent Sherfield will help in the run game. And I think that's the big thing. He's not going to get he might not even get 15 targets this year. And that's completely fine with me.
He'll have like he'll have one random game where he has like 87 yards and a tutty. And most weeks it'll be like,
I don't even think
I'm just saying there'll be one random week where he just kind of goes off for no reason. But for the most part, it'll be like one catch for 6 yards, 2 catches for 13 yards, 1 catch for 4. Like those kind of stat lines. He's not like
it'll be play actions
as a weapon. Yeah.
Yeah, not as a weapon. But like in the blocking game, like if Sean wants to keep going outside, which he did so much last year, if we want to run stretch, runs that get outside, doesn't Ingram make? I'll get to that in a second, Mike. If Sean is wanting to get outside, Sherfield is a perfect pickup for that. His blocking from tight splits, amazing. Like very like. Perfect wide receiver blocking. He's able to get his shoulder turned so he can seal off edges, and I think it's going to be a great signing. So yes, this doesn't Ingram make Lil Jordan Humphrey more disposable? Absolutely not. Why? Because they play different positions. Ingram is not going to be asked to do the same things that Lil Jordan Humphrey would be asked to do. I think that you could still use personnel groupings with both of them in there. It's just Lil Jordan is not doing the same things that Evan Ingram would be doing in this offense. It's like it wouldn't happen. I could see Lil Jordan Humphrey getting some run at X as well in certain groupings, but it would be more of like, we're not actually going to the X. We just need a guy who can block out here, right? Because he's a big dude. He's not very little, right? And like Frankie said, there's just no reason to dispose of Lil Jordan. He's the perfect practice squad receiver, but he's also like, he knows the offense. If someone gets hurt, if Vele gets hurt, Franklin gets hurt, Sherfield gets hurt, if Ingram gets hurt, which could happen, then you have a replacement, and you have a replacement who knows the offense. Why do we want to get rid of people who know the offense, right? And who played a big role? Lil Jordan Humphrey played a big role. No block, no fucking rock. And when he got when he got the rock, he did what he could with it. What?
Patrick, I love you more than I can put into words. And I missed you so much the last couple of weeks not being able to do shows with you. But shut the fuck up about Little Jordan Humphrey already. Never. I know. Never. You love him. I know. And I blame Frankie, okay? It's Frankie, like where everything's going fine. We're doing the show.
He's not good.
We're following like the bullet points of what we want to do. And Frankie comes in here and he riles you up. Okay? You're just in the cage, right?
No.
Okay, Frankie comes and just shakes the cage.
Frankie's not shaking the cage.
About Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Frankie sees the vision. Frankie sees the vision. No,
okay, listen. It's fine. You like Little Jordan Humphrey. He's probably going to be on the roster.
Isn't good at what? We're talking about blocking.
Let's stop. Okay?
He's not fucking T. Higgins. Next. Jesus Christ.
Next. Tyler, who's not going to rile you up, wants to know, who do you envision being our running back one into week one? So we're going to use this as a transition. Okay, and we're going to get there, Pat. Let me tell you who it's not going to be. And then let me tell you why. The running back one will not be Audric Estimé. Why? He's not very good, right? Not that we've seen. Listen, anybody who says, oh, they need to give Audric Estimé a chance, I want to see what he can do. Yeah. The odds of him showing you something exponentially better than what he did last year, very limited. Because, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, like, if you get to talk about Lil Jordan Humphrey every fucking week, then I get to say this every week, okay? You are not going to sit Audric Estimé's big dumpy ass on the bench in favor for a dude who hadn't played in 3.5 months if you have any sort of faith in him whatsoever. Now, is there a chance, Pat, that Audric Estimé could turn things around, do a complete 180, and be like a Mark Ingram type? Sure. Just like there's a chance that you could go buy a fucking lottery ticket right now and go win the Mega Millions. Okay? It's never impossible, but like there's such a thing called smart money. Okay? There is a better chance, Pat, of Audric Estimé transitioning to fullback than he is being running back one last year. In fact, since we're all about pushing agendas, and we're gonna push.
Now I have to do it.
We're gonna push the number one agenda later. We're definitely gonna get to that. That's gonna be the climax of our show.
Atomic is climax. Like
nice. Audric Estimé needs to put on 15, 20 pounds.
Jesus.
And then he would be the same weight as Burton. And then you have a 5th round running back who actually can finally serve a purpose as a fullback. And then if you want to do the fullback dive, something that Burton was fucking terrible at,
whoa,
in the world that Audric Estimé can do that because he's familiar with running the football aside from all of the fumbles. And he's similar to Burton because I'm pretty sure they ran the same 40 time.
Can you
so
confirm
here
that?
I am pushing my crazy ass agenda that if we want to get something out of Audric Estimé, switch him to fullback.
Lorenzo Neal was 5'11", 256 pounds. Audric Estimé is 5'11", 227.
And Lorenzo Neal is the greatest fullback of all time. We don't need him to be Lorenzo Neal. We need him to be Michael. He's already on the roster.
Whoa. I'm just saying, if we're going to make Audric Estimé into a fullback, let's take a look at Lorenzo Neal as like an example, right? I mean, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. That's not a bad thing. I mean, shit.
It's like saying, like, hey, we want Devon Bailey to be our Z. Let's take a look at Jerry Rice. Let's take a look at the Jerry Rice's career as a receiver.
Literally only
He's
just
so
using,
serious.
Literally only using their measurables as a comparison. So Estimé's a freak. We know that he loves to lower the helmet. We know that he loves to hit motherfuckers. I mean, shit, make him a fullback. Have a fullback competition in camp.
Thank you.
Have a fullback.
Atkins
is going to be in that too. Atkins is going to be in there too.
Play action. You want to run a little play action fake where Audric Estimé leaks into the flat?
Ooh, wait, stop. Cody's comment right there. Boom. There it is.
Perfect.
Mike Anderson.
Perfect, Cody. Audric Estimé will never be Mike Anderson because they're not running the Mike Shanahan zone rushing scheme. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. And you know what, Pat? It's not the worst thing to be a fullback. Go ask Peyton Hillis. Peyton Hillis, Alex, I mean at this turns of your career, go talk to Peyton Hillis about if it hindered him being a fullback. You remember that year, the year that Peyton Hillis came out, there were two really, really good running backs that went to Arkansas. It was Darren McFadden and Felix Jones.
Yep.
And he ended up being better than both of them in his NFL career. Oh,
better than Darren McFadden?
Oh, please. Darren McFadden had tiny dancer legs. Darren McFadden had like 2 decent years.
Come on now.
Oh, wait. I have a question for you, Pat. No, I have a question for you, Pat. Yeah. Who was on the cover of Madden between the three of them?
Well, hang on. Darren McFadden was on the cover of NCAA.
Which one, Pat?
Darren McFadden was on the cover of NCAA. Don't get it twisted now.
Patrick Taylor Chiotti, don't do that.
Taylor. Come on now.
Just threw out a random middle name.
Come on.
We have fallen completely off the rails.
Strays.
Honest to God, though, and I want to be completely serious here. If Audric Estimé does not show us more in camp and midway through the season, this one's actually not bad. Royce Freeman was better than Audric Estimé. I think Royce Freeman had some injury issues early on, and then and Philip Lindsay was just better. Yeah. Philip Lindsay kind of took it over for him. If you can get Audric Estimé to be like what you got out of Royce Freeman early on, that's a huge improvement. And that's where we stand with Audric Estimé. So let's transition that, Pat, since now we don't need to re-sign Burton because we have a fullback on the roster already. What are we going to do at the running back position? And we don't need to get too much into the draft talk because we're going to have a couple draft specials before the actual draft. Like we've heard, like you and I and a lot of other people have been pushing the Omarion Hampton agenda. And honestly, at this point, I'll be shocked if he's there at 20. If I'm being completely and perfectly honest with you,
I'll be shocked if he's past 10
at all that he drops the 20. So what do we do, Pat?
So this is something else that is going to be in my article. But I think like with a class this deep, I fully expect them to accept the fact that one of, if not both of those guys will be gone within the top 10 picks. Maybe the Raiders take him. Maybe the Raiders take JT. Maybe they don't. it would make sense, but they also have a lot of other things. Mason Graham would make a ton of sense for them at 5. But they've got some other holes. So it's like, do they take a running back? Don't they? I just think there's going to be teams that may want to, like we're talking about how this class is so iffy and yada, yada, yada. Oh, there's no way teams will trade up. Like draft day will always change things. There's teams that will panic. There's teams that will want to move up. So it might happen, right? Especially with Chicago loading up on offensive linemen, loading up.
Big time. It's almost like they realized they had to protect their first round investment.
I drafted this guy in the first round, but God, he keeps getting hit. What can we do to stop this? I know.
Give him another receiver. Give him another receiver.
Let's sign Keenan Allen. That'll fix it. Let's play DJ Moore at the X. Oh, yeah. That's a great idea.
I want to bring this up really quick because I had kind of pitched this. I love Tyler Algier.
Not even 2-6. Not even
no, and I don't think it would take remotely this much. And here's the thing: like, first of all, Atomic, I understand why you want to throw Estimé in there. I don't think that you need to. With what Atlanta's doing with Bijan, it makes sense that they would shop Tyler Algier. He's about to go into his 4th year. He had a fantastic rookie season. It was the year before they drafted Bijan. Over 1,000 yards. I think he had 4 or 5 touchdowns on a not good Atlanta team. And they ran the ball a ton because they had Desmond Ridder, who famously can't throw the ball. But the last 2 seasons, Pat, with Tyler Algier, he's rushed for over 600 yards, despite vehemently playing second fiddle to Bijan Robinson. So why would the Falcons trade this guy right now? Well, after this year, he's a free agent. Yep. So why wouldn't the Broncos? And I don't think it'll take 2-6 Atomic, and I don't think that they would even accept Estimé. They're probably thinking we can get rid of Algier. We don't need to work. We can get something for him because he's going to walk in free agency. You give them let's call it a 5th, and then get a 6th in return or a 7th in return, like a pick swap, and you add Tyler Algier, and all of a sudden, Pat, he's by far the best running back in that room. He rushed for over 600 yards the last couple of years, despite Bijan. And he's a competent pass catcher. It's like he's not going to wow you. He's obviously not Bijan level, but he's a good pass catcher. And maybe most importantly, Pat, he's a good pass blocker. And that room desperately, desperately needs a veteran.
Yeah. Yeah,
because
I mean,
I know Julio's been around for a few years, still young, and Audric's going into his 2nd year.
Yeah. I mean, I think
he would get it here. And then I think that would take some of the pressure off of what the Broncos want to do. Now, I don't think he's like an end-all, be-all fix. He's not going to be your bell cow, but he raises the floor of that room immensely.
I mean, he could be your bell cow. That's the crazy thing is, this guy's
and he has a year to prove it, Pat. This is a contract.
Oh, sorry, you cut out for a second. No, I think he's a guy who wants his carries. He's a guy who was kind of slighted, in all honesty, by Atlanta when they took Bijan. He was vocal about it. I remember him. He was like, I just ran for 1,000 yards. What am I going to do now? Right? He wants his carries. He wants to be able to show that he can play in this league. He's hungry for it, right? So give him a fresh start, contract year, like you said. A 6th-round pick would be more than enough, right? Doesn't need to be anything crazy. And bring him in. At least give him the opportunity to compete for the starting job. Even if they draft a rookie, remember that rookie's probably not going to get a ton of carries out the gate unless Sean is absolutely head over heels in love with him. It's not going to be one of those situations. So especially if Jainty's gone and Hampton's gone and they have to draft someone like a Caleb Johnson or Dylan Sampson, Devin Neal, right? Those guys aren't going to get the starting reps week 1. That's going to be a guy like Tyler Algier who's going he's a veteran in this league at this point. So get a veteran. We're also talking about Breece Hall. Even a guy like Breece Hall would be getting the starting reps. I feel like one of those guys And then the guy that you're really, really on right now in free agency, which I wouldn't hate, J.K. Dobbins. I think he would be a guy who would take week 1 reps. If they,
much better than what they have here right now.
Exactly.
Sure. And that's and granted, like that's a low bar. Okay.
Yeah.
And here's the conundrum that I'm starting to foresee when it comes to the draft. And I talked to Ryan Edwards about this a little bit last week. I feel like it's safe to say, Pat, that like Genty and Hampton are kind of in their own tier right now. They're likely going to be the only guys drafted in the first round. Now, you know, things could change. It would surprise me, but I think they're pretty much well established as running back 1 and 2. And then, you know, kind of running back 3, 4, 5, 6, I think it gets a little bit murky. It's up for debate. The issue is if you do miss out on an Omari and Hampton at 20, then you start looking like, okay, we really like Travion Henderson. We really like Quinshon Judkins, Devin Neal. You can throw a couple other names in there. I think part of the problem, especially with the Ohio State boys, I don't think they last to the Broncos' second-round pick. But you're not going to overdraft them and take either of them at 20. So this becomes the conundrum where you can't wait around for Travion and Quinshon because I'm almost positive that they're not going to be there at 51. I like Dylan Sampson. I think he's a little bit slender for what I would like to see out of like a potential bell cow. But this is a scenario where Algier makes even more sense. You miss out on Hampton and Genty, which is probably going to happen. And then you miss out on the Ohio State boys. They don't fall to you. And then who's your running back 5? I think that's kind of where the debate starts. And is it too early for 51? I think if you like a Dylan Sampson, I feel much more comfortable taking him in the 3rd or 4th round than taking him in the 2nd round. I feel much more comfortable, though, with a Brashard Smith over a Dylan Sampson in the 3rd or 4th round. Now, so that's why if you address the running back position, let's say you get Dobbins, fine, and then you don't have to trade for Algier, even though Algier financially would make more sense because he's still on his rookie deal, not going to cost a lot. Either one of those guys, like it takes you out of that conundrum. And then you're not panicked when Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins aren't falling to you. Because then if they do, you're like, fantastic. We have our bases covered with either Dobbins or Algier or whoever the veteran might be, even though that list is incredibly slim now. And then you are allowed to more freely play the board. So this is like the chess. This is the chess, not checkers. LaQuint Allen, I really like LaQuint Allen. I'll tell you what, I think I like Woody Marks in that kind of role a little bit more, but I like both of them.
A source.
And Andy's right. This draft has R2 move up all over it. I agree. But and the only thing is, Andy, like if they want one of the Ohio State backs, in my opinion, they would have to trade up into the 2nd round for that. And so maybe depending on how the first round
Mason
falls,
Taylor,
if someone wants to come up and get Jackson Dart at 20 or one of the defensive linemen, and you can trade back, add picks, and then come back up into the 2nd round. But again, if you're addressing your biggest hole, and if there's one thing that Patrick Chiotti does better than anyone, it is addressing the biggest hole, then it takes a lot of pressure off of you.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good backs in this class, man.
Yeah.
And like it is kind of like if they go get a vet, you know, I think it does take the pressure off, right? You can kind of wait and see, and then they keep falling. Is Caleb Johnson a bad fit? No. Nope. That dude is a really fun watch. Lot of stretch stuff, but man, he can get to the edge quick. And then he can also run between the tackles. He can move. No, I think like if they don't get a vet,
Caleb Johnson's the other guy. I don't know if he falls to their 2nd round pick, right? I would love Caleb Johnson, but Brendan, I think the reason that he's not in the chatter is because early on, Pat, like you say a couple months ago, you know, I think some people had him over him over Omari and Hampton.
Yep.
And now it's kind of dropped down, and like
depending on running back from Iowa.
depending on what rankings that you're looking at, it's like some people still have him as RB3, and I have it. He's probably my running back 4 right now. Some people, I'm like RB5, 6, 7. Some people think that Cam Scatabo is going to be a better pro than him, which I think is fucking crazy. But that could be another discussion for another day. So that's what we think about the running back position. Anything else that you want to add or throw in?
No, I think if they go into the draft without signing a vet running back, I'll be a little more stressed, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Like, what the fuck are we gonna do, guys? Like, you better get the guy, whatever guy you're thinking about going to get, you better get him, right? Whether that is Henderson. Now, in my piece that's coming out, I discussed a scenario where they trade back, not out of the first round completely, but down to 30. Okay. Buffalo is sitting at 30. Okay. They trade back, and at 30, it could get a little murky, right? So would you be comfortable taking a guy like Travion Henderson? If Sean Payton was like, hey, we're in the first round, like we're almost out of the first round, I want to get this guy. We've already traded back. We've collected some picks. I feel comfortable doing this. We get a cost-controlled running back who can play that Joker role. I'm just saying. I'm putting Luther Burden at running back.
Honestly, if you're asking me if I'd be...
Yeah, at 30. Like, let's say they trade down to 30.
Yes.
And they're like, like Hampton's off the board. Like, even like a guy like Johnson is off the board, right? And they go, hey, guys, it's now or never. Like, he could get picked up. Like, imagine if Kansas City got a guy like Travion Henderson. They don't need him. But I'm just saying, like, I'd do it. I'd do it.
I don't know if Kansas City would fuck around and take a running back in the first round. We didn't think after what happened last time, but no, Pat, I'm
just saying, like, that's the scenario. That's the scenario, right? You trade back.
I'm pushing my chips all in. Okay, I'm all in on that idea. And I think like that needs to be the thinking of that needs to be the thinking of Broncos country now, Pat. And so when that article comes out, it's going to be a banger. Because honestly, God, man, CMC. Like you know, we're pushing the Omari and Hampton agenda. Okay, if you're listening, we want Omari and Hampton, but it's like he's probably not going to be there at 20. Grow up, Peter Pan. Okay, you can't fucking fly.
You're gonna have to trade with the Saints. Like if they want JT or Hampton, either one of those guys, you might have to trade up to 9. You might even have to trade up to 5.
This would actually be an interesting situation. Like if they drafted Luther Burden strictly as like you're going to be Deebo Samuel. You're not going to run a lot of routes. We're going to line you up in the backfield. We're going to give you tosses. We're going to give you screens. The thing that like kind of worries me about Burden is like after what happened with Malachi Corley, because I love me some Malachi Corley. And I don't know if it's because he went to the Jets or because I was just dead ass wrong. His game did not translate at all. I was pounding the table for him because he led the NCAA in yards after catch and I think broken tackles, and the Broncos desperately needed that and still need that. And so now, like, since those roles are similar, except, you know, Corley's obviously not on Burden's level, that makes me really scared over a guy like Burden. But Frankie, if you're going to put him at running back and you just, you know, give him little pitches and tosses and swing passes, I mean, I don't know if I would be happy about you spend a first round pick on that guy, but I think that would be a fun role for him.
Somebody mentioned pre-draft visits. I just want to mention last year, the Broncos pre-draft visits, their top 30, JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix, Keaton Slovis, Blake Watson, Ray Davis, Keelan Robinson, Jalen Wright, Austin Jones, Luke McCaffrey, David White, Xavier Legette, Jaquan Burton, Josh Cephas, a bunch of they bring in a bunch of guys, right? Bo Nix isn't on this list, right? Let's see. Ellis is on this list.
The top 30 visits they're nothing.
They bring them in. I think the top 30 visits
unless it's a misdirect to try and convince other teams that you're interested in a guy. That's kind of how the visits go.
That could be the case. So put a ton of stock into visits. Got it. Yeah, I mean, think whatever you want about him, right? But it's not always going to be that. Like, it's not always going to be that guy. Just because they bring someone in for a visit does not mean that it's going to be like they're going to pick this guy, right? Sometimes they already know, and they're bringing in other guys to get a closer look at them and figure it out. But like, I don't know. I wouldn't put all of the way to it. I'm sure there's going to be a pick that resembles that, but just don't push all your chips in on it. It don't matter. Jason Taylor, Mason Taylor. I think he would absolutely be a target.
Mason Taylor,
second round.
I love him. I love him. You know what? And Carter Dillon over LTV put together a really nice thread on Twitter, and I liked Mason Taylor before. And after I saw what Carter put together, I'm like, you know what? I think that's my tight end 3 right now. I would be honestly fine. I would be fine taking him in the second round.
All right, let's get to. We've got 9 minutes left. Do we want to split the Mount Rushmore and the Cooks agenda?
You know what? We'll save that for another time because we have to get to the highlight of the show, Pat.
Oh,
we have the ultimate agenda to push, and that is Brandin Cooks to Denver. Yeah. Now, you might have heard whispers from Patrick Chiotti a month and a half ago about saying, hey, I want to push Brandin Cooks. I want to push Brandin Cooks to Denver. And we thought, okay, Pat, you're being a little bit silly. You're kind of being a silly goose here. But now here we are. My Darius Slayton agenda is dead and buried because he decided to go back to the Giants for fucking dirt. So, okay, good luck, Darius.
Saquon
decision maker.
Team.
But the more that we talk, because honestly, Pat, my knee-jerk reaction to you saying that was the same as a lot of people. Brandin Cooks? What is he just like we just want him to be able to play on every single team in the NFL before his career is over? Oh, the Broncos are going to be his 19th or 20th NFL team. But the more you think about it, and the more I talk to you about it, Pat, you know what? I love me some Brandin Cooks to Denver agenda. So why don't you enlighten the people who think that it's batshit crazy to go after a Brandin Cooks right now? Lay it all out for the people, Pat. Push that agenda.
Well, I can't. Okay, I can't push that agenda because it's not my agenda. Okay,
hang on. Who can, Pat? Wait. Okay, we got a special guest. Okay, yep. So if Patrick Chiotti is not able to push the agenda, then I think it's safe to say that Coach Pat, newly hired Coach Pat, is here to push the Brandin Cooks agenda.
First of all,
push that agenda. Brandin Cooks to Denver. Break it down.
First of all, go Cards. Okay. Second of all, look, you wanted Cooper Kupp. You thought you were getting Cooper Kupp. Look at you. Sad, depressed, Lombardi-less. Okay. You thought you were going to get Cooper Kupp. He's a PNW boy. He's going home. All right. Don't be an idiot. Now, listen. Brandin Cooks, he's a veteran receiver. What did Sean Payton say that he wanted this offseason? Oh, he wanted a veteran receiver. Okay. He played in this offense before. Sean Payton scouted this guy, drafted this guy, fed him the fucking rock. Okay, for 3 seasons in New Orleans. He traded him. They traded him to a winner. Played in a couple Super Bowls, won a couple Super Bowls. That's pretty crazy. So you've got a veteran, you've got a guy who knows the offense, and you've got a guy who has won in the playoffs. I've been saying this whole offseason that what the Broncos need is a true Z. Yeah, Mims played the Z early on in the season. It wasn't working. For some reason, it wasn't working. Okay. So they switched it up, and he did a lot better in a different role. Great. Troy Franklin couldn't play the Z. Not there. He's not there yet. Could he get there? Maybe.
He's not there yet.
How long are you going to wait for that? You're going to wait another season?
Who's the kind of guy that can help Troy Franklin get there, Pat?
I mean, a guy like Brandin Cooks, right?
You think Brandin Cooks can maybe help Troy Franklin out a little bit?
He's a vet, so he checks that box off. Playoff experience, checks that box off. 2 Super Bowl rings, checks that box off.
What about this? How many drops did he have? You know, the Broncos,
so the last 2 years,
granted, they were young. Yeah. They had some problems with drops. How many drops did Brandin Cooks have over the last 2 seasons?
1 drop. 11 touchdowns, 1 drop.
Oh, hot damn.
Pretty sure he won with the Rams, did he not? Pretty sure he won with the Patriots and 1 with the Rams. Anyways.
Erroneous.
Either way, he's played in this offense before. He's a free agent. Getting up there, yeah. But, like, this is also the same guy who brought in Emmanuel Sanders the year before he played for Buffalo, so the year before he retired. And got 770 yards out of him and 5 touchdowns. That's all you need. That's all you need. You don't need him to be a 100 target a year guy. You don't need him to be an 80 target a year guy. He's a vet who knows the offense. He's been here before, probably wants to play for a winner. And apparently they might flirt with him. I don't know. But I'm just saying I think he'd be a decent ad. He's not going to get a ton of targets. But he still has the talent to stretch the field, still has the talent to work through the defense. And he played a very similar role that Emmanuel played in New Orleans with him. I think it's a good sign. I don't know. And if it's cheaper, they just bring him in. If they just bring him in for camp, hey, that's fine too. But this is a guy who could still play. Not sleeping on Bailey or Mims. You still use those guys. That's the same thing. You don't just have to take one out. We can use all of these pieces together. Stop trying to think about it.
Let me say something. Let me step in here real quick because you're too close to the situation. Okay, I need to break it down for these people and help them understand it the way that I need it to understand it. Okay. Sure. I think if you're hearing this Brandin Cooks to Denver agenda and you have a problem with it because you're worried about targets being taken away from the young guys, or Brandin Cooks is washed, or whatever else that you want to say, I think you're grossly overestimating the role that you are bringing him into play. Brandin Cooks is not even necessarily starting. You get him 60 to 75 targets this year, maybe 80 targets, 50 to 55 catches, a handful of touchdowns. That's what you bring Cooks in for. You're not bringing him in to be wide receiver 2. That's not what we're proposing. That's not what Pat is expecting, and no one is expecting that. But I don't understand, Pat, why so many people wanted Cooper Kupp. And they weren't worried about the fact that he hasn't played a full season in 3 years, or the fact that he's on the complete wrong side of 30. And I don't mean to shit on Cooper Kupp, but $15 million a year for a dude whose prime was 3 years ago is fucking crazy. Yeah. Brandin Cooks is going to be a 1-year, $6, $7, $8 million contract.
1 season.
It's not going to stunt the growth. That's pennies. That is pennies in the NFL as a wide receiver. So I need everybody to just
and it's not going to stunt the growth of anybody.
Back. Just chill the fuck out and understand you're bringing him in. It's you got a third and medium. You need a Brandin Cooks because he's a man beater. Did you have a holding call on first down and now it's Now you got 2nd and 16, and you need a chunk play. You got Brandin Cooks there. He's going to help take a little bit of attention away from Cortland Sutton, from Mims, from Bailey, from Franklin. He's going to help the young guys. He's going to help. I talked to Tim Patrick recently, and I kind of asked him about Bailey and Troy Franklin. He was incredibly high on both of them, and he said that Sean Payton put them in an impossible situation. Because all the stuff that he was wanting Tim Patrick to do, that Tim Patrick can do, you're asking a rookie to do. And even though Vele is, eats at Golden Corral and is the same age as Tim Patrick. No, I love it. It's fine. For if you want diarrhea. The point is, you're asking, Sean Payton asked way too much of those rookies. And the only veteran presence that they had was Cortland Sutton to help guide them. And they're not playing the same position. You add in a Brandin Cooks, who will be a situational wide receiver, who will be a good possession wide receiver, but most importantly, will teach these young guys how to play the Z. We'll teach them the subtle nuances of playing the wide receiver position in the NFL. And most importantly, we'll help teach them Sean Payton's overly complicated, convoluted offense. We saw Sean Payton chew Troy Franklin the fuck out in Buffalo because he blew an assignment, Pat. Do you
That's what I'm saying. It's not there up
more
here.
Or less? Exactly. That is why you bring in a guy like Brandin Cooks until the moment is no longer too big for the young guys. Marky, we appreciate you. Elijah Moore makes more sense than a 32-year-old Brandin Cooks who hasn't played a full season in 3 years. Appreciate the super chat and appreciate you watching despite your insistence on the things that you're commenting. And that's all I'll say. Patrick, before we
whoa, hang on.
Okay.
This man donated $10. I'm going to answer his question. Okay. Now, Elijah Moore, don't hate that either. The reason that I say Brandin Cooks, because he's a fun receiver. The reason that I'm pushing the Cooks thing is just because of been in this system before, can play that veteran role, doesn't need to have a ton of targets, but could be a valuable asset, especially for the development of a guy like Troy Franklin, for a guy like Marvin Mims. Probably around the same price point. I mean, they're going to be wave 2 free agents regardless. I know Moore had a visit with the Jets today. So something to keep an eye on. No, you're fine. It's not that you're wrong. It's more about having players in the locker room that can help lead the younger players. So the same way that they brought in John Franklin Myers last year, they've went out and they've gotten veterans. They've even been scouting older players. Bo Nix, Devon Vele, right? Both of those guys had a ton of experience in college. They're both more mature, older players. And that helps with the locker room, helps with maturity. It helps with focus and leadership. So really what you're doing is you're adding in another veteran who has played in the system before, understands what his coach is expecting from the room, and can be somebody who can go to Marvin Mims or Troy Franklin and be like, hey, look, if you're going to be the Z or you're going to run this play, this is how it should be done, right? This is what is being expected of you. It's just like having another coach in the building, right? So that's why we're pushing the agenda. And yes, you are correct. He played in 2 Super Bowls, did not win them. Thank you for correcting me on that. But I still think it would be like he's still been there. He still understands what it takes to get to that point. That you can't understate that. Yes, wing it all is fantastic, and that's like the ultimate goal. But getting there is what is the hardest thing to do, and he understands what it takes to get there. And also has probably learned from those mistakes, right? That's the veteran part. I mean, we watched Troy Franklin drop a wide open touchdown this season. Dropping one in the Super Bowl is a million times worse. But I digress. I don't hate Elijah Moore. I think that would be a fun ad. It's just like we're complaining about this guy. Like he's going to want his targets. He's going to want his catches. Brandin Cooks is the guy who's going to come here and play the damn game, and he's going to play it the way that Sean Payton wants.
Adding Elijah Moore, and I like Elijah Moore. I liked him coming out of Ole Miss. He was a guy that I wouldn't have minded the Broncos targeting. I think that he's been in a lot of bad situations. That feels like a signing that the team would have made in the John Elway era, where you're like, we're going to revitalize this guy's career. He was really good once upon a time, and we're going to shove him down your throat as a wide receiver too. That's the kind of move that it feels like. I think that it would be a fine move, but it's like it's not the fact. Like I think at this point of the careers, yeah, Elijah Moore is probably a better receiver than Brandin Cooks, and I don't think that's wild to say. But like if that's all that you're banking on, and if that's what you're basing your entire argument off of, then you're not seeing the big picture. Pat, before we get out of here, we haven't had the opportunity to do this in a while. And I got to tell you, it was absolutely fantastic hearing Ryan Edwards, the Denver sports media Golden Boy, discuss what made him bricked up. Patrick Chiotti, welcome back. Welcome, everybody, to what a lot of people are calling, Pat, the greatest single segment in all of Denver sports, talk.
Yes.
So, Patrick, what has you bricked up?
What is getting me bricked up these days? Besides Blazers basketball. Besides Blazers basketball. What's getting me bricked up?
Watching them get the 7th seed and be a first-round exit is going to be really fun.
Hang the banners. We got there.
Hang the banner. Right next to the gray goat and knee brace, baby.
Wow. I was on TV, by the way. That was pretty cool.
I saw that. You got me hyped. The guy that you were at the game with did not match your freak. Okay.
Don't hate on it. Don't hate it. He didn't even know. He didn't even know that the camera was pointing. I made eye contact with the cameraman, and he saw me, and I was like, you know what we're about to do. You know what we're about to do.
I'm not hating on him. I'm just saying he didn't. You said, "Is anybody going to match my freak?" And he said, "No."
You know what's getting me bricked up is this lead up to the draft, man. Free agency was kind of news fest. Yawn. Like, came and went. You know, like Aaron Rodgers is still fucking high somewhere on a beach. Justin Fields got $30 million guaranteed. Like, that's crazy. But I think what's getting me bricked up the most is the draft is just few short days away. Relatively speaking, we have children. You know this. We have children. That's literally like a blink of an eye.
Feel like months.
So I'm just getting really excited about the lead up. Can't wait for like all the little draft rumors that come around. That's just draft season always gets me just rock hard through the zipper, bricked up.
Just lay right on the fucking table, just smack
through the zipper. Just like absolutely robtastic is how I would describe draft season for me. Like we're gonna get all the draft guides. Like we're gonna see all this information. Who knows if there's gonna be a Laramie Tunsil video? Like, who knows if that's going to happen this year? There could be some video
we need a head coach doing it. Video for Tyler Warren or Amarian Hampton.
Oh man, it's like the Tyler. I don't know if you'll understand this reference, but I'm sure the younger crowd would. The Tyler Warren Bonnie Blue mashup is going to be. That's going to tank. It's just going to tank him. Send him right down to 20.
Good. If it's true, you don't want him.
Jeez, he's not going to pass. He's not going to pass the medicals.
No way. Like, you have 4 different STDs and a new one that we have not even named.
It's the first time we've ever seen this in humankind. You've got it.
Your crabs have super herpes.
So your crabs have mutated. Okay, Mario, what gets you bricked up? We're off the rails.
Not much that we're talking about that. No, I'm going to take it a step further. You know what has me really bricked up? The fact that Let's Talk Broncos has built such an incredible community that after doing our first annual draft party at the Rock Restaurant and Bar last season, we packed the place. We had the entire patio to ourselves. Had never done it before. The show that we did was a fucking disaster, but the event was unbelievable. And it went well enough to convince us to do it again. And so I love the fact that we exist in this realm of, like, you know, we're here to entertain people. We're here to talk to people. And you know, thankfully, a lot of people think highly enough of us to tune in when, you know, like, you and I would just do this for free, Pat, and like would just do it for fun. I would sit here. If nobody was watching, I would come down here to my basement and I would sit to look at your handsome face and talk at you for an hour about Broncos football and sports.
Jordan Humphrey.
And how overrated Brandon Roy was, all that good stuff.
Wow.
Don't hang up. The fact that we have this community and we have people that actually care, it honestly blows my mind. I'm like, I don't know why you people care what I have to say. Like, I'm pretty stupid, right? Like, I'm just up here talking, doing my best. And the fact that people actually care what I have to say is wild. The fact that people would actually want to come to a draft party and like meet me in person and meet Zach, and like Bree makes sense. Like, I understand wanting to meet Bree, and I definitely understand wanting to meet Carter and Joey Richards, but like wanting to meet me and Zach, like that's a tall task. And so will you stop this shit? I want to take a chance to like tell everybody here how much I appreciate you guys, to the point where we are going to be hosting a draft party. It's going to be at the Rock Restaurant and Bar off of Smoky Hill Road and 470. It'll be the first night of the draft, April 24th at 5:30 p.m. And we will go all night long, baby. We will go all night until the first round of the draft is over. And it does get a little tedious, so hopefully it'll be like last season and we'll have a Nuggets or an Avalanche game, you know, like an actual competitive good team that will make some noise in the playoffs, unlike the straight garbage that Patrick is force feeding all of us. I want to go ahead and pat myself on the back there. I'm trying to get through this shit. You just hold your phone. Fucking Brandon Roy highlights. Like, oh, good. Like, let's see the highlights of the 18th best trailblazer of all time.
Wow. Third best. Third best.
Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Patrick.
What's your top 3 nuggets? Top 3 nuggets. Top 3 nuggets right now. Top 3 nuggets.
Oh, Melo, Jokic, and Billups.
Melo, Jokic.
Probably Alex English over Billups, but Billups is the hometown kid.
Okay.
But like Jokic is number 1 by like a really, really wide margin. Like, I'm sorry to tell you this, Pat. I'm sorry to tell you this, but like Nikola Jokic currently is a top 10 player all time.
I agree.
All time.
I don't hate it.
Well, you shouldn't hate the truth and facts, because then
who's the greatest basketball player of all time, Mario? Let's really get like all the other sports shows.
Oh, you want to start this? We're hour 15 in, and you want to
Why is Michael Jordan? You're telling me that Michael Jordan is the best basketball player of all time? Yes.
And nothing will change that. I love Nikola Jokic so much so that I rooted for Serbia over the USA in the Olympics. Because also, I can't stand LeBron. I hate Joel Embiid, and I can't stand Anthony Davis. So I'm like, I guess I'm a communist because I wanted to see Nikola Jokic win over them. It's not good. I understand that, but that's how much of a homer I am. And despite that, There's nothing that Jokic will ever do that will move him above Michael Jordan for me.
He could shoot a guy in the middle of Fifth Avenue.
What murders?
What murder?
He murdered a bunch.
He was the best guy around.
Best guy around. What about the murder?
What murder? What murder?
Okay, we're done. Bye, everybody. Have a good one. I love you. See you next week.
Hey, Bill, I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit